Last year, a video of a woman from Chicago going viral took the internet by storm. She boldly shared her dating life, her identity as a stud, and her struggles with love. But what happened after that went even crazier. One guy asked her to be his girlfriend. She said no. And things didn't stop there. He crossed every line you can imagine. Chaos, heartbreak, and shocking choices followed. Today, she's sharing the truth about what really happened, the lessons she learned, and why she finally decided enough is enough. Trust me, you've never heard a story like this. Last September, I covered a story about a young woman originally from Chicago who had relocated to Atlanta, carving out her own life in a new city. She identified as a stud, a term within the LGBTQ+ community used to describe a woman who presents herself with traditionally masculine traits while often engaging romantically with other women. In her original video, which quickly went viral, she introduced herself to viewers in her own unapologetic way, saying that although she liked girls, she was contemplating dating men as well. Her reasoning was rooted in personal experience. She had spent time dating femme and felt that many of them were seeking parental figures rather than genuine partners, which left her feeling unfulfilled and questioning her own preferences. That brief, candid explanation struck a chord online, and the clip spread like wildfire across various social media platforms, sparking both debate and admiration. Within days, the video had garnered millions of views, with thousands of comments pouring in, some offering support, others criticism, and many simply reacting to her bold honesty. Now, more than a year later, she has returned to provide an update, sharing her experiences since that viral moment and reflecting on how much it has changed her life. The original video was more than just a fleeting social media moment. It became a catalyst for opportunities she had never anticipated. She appeared on multiple podcasts, was featured on World Star, and even had her clip reposted by comedian Lil Duval. Her online following grew exponentially, giving her a platform she hadn't previously had, and opening doors for discussions about sexuality, dating, and the complexities of modern relationships within the LGBTQ+ community. The attention wasn't without its challenges, however. The viral nature of the video brought both praise and scrutiny. Viewers debated her choices, her identity, and her approach to dating, creating a mixture of pressure, curiosity, and public commentary that she had to navigate. According to the commentator who highlighted her update, she remains strikingly beautiful, regardless of what detractors may say. He pointed out that she exuded what he described as liberal democratic vibes, a playful nod to her perceived political and cultural persona, and joked that if he ever had the opportunity, he would hold her hand and walk with her all over Atlanta. His commentary reflected a broader reaction that many viewers had: admiration for her confidence and individuality, often combined with humor and light-hearted fantasy scenarios about her love life. In her own update, the woman candidly admitted that following the original video, she had a phase, a period of self-exploration and indulgence. She experimented with dating, relationships, and intimacy, taking the time to understand herself and what she truly wanted from potential partners. It was a time for her to release pent-up feelings and experiences she had kept private, to embrace her desires without judgment, and to experience freedom in a way that was personal and unapologetic. This phase, she said, allowed her to clarify her own needs and desires, and while it was enjoyable, it also served as a learning experience. However, her narrative took a complicated turn when she encountered a particular man during this period. This individual, who had been part of her early explorations, asked her to become his girlfriend. Her decision to say no sparked significant backlash from some men who claimed she was asking too much, had unrealistic standards, or was somehow being unfair in her expectations. Others completely misinterpreted the situation, questioning why she wouldn't accept a relationship offer despite her clearly stated boundaries and the context of her interactions. This response highlighted a persistent issue within dating culture: the misunderstanding and policing of women's autonomy, particularly in matters of sexual and emotional consent. Her refusal was not a rejection of love or companionship. It was a decision grounded in her awareness of what she wanted and her commitment to her own boundaries. Despite the criticism, she remained steadfast in her choices. She explained that while the chemistry and intimacy she experienced were undeniable, she recognized the potential consequences of moving too quickly, particularly with someone who might not align with her long-term goals or values. Her story illustrates the tension between desire and prudence, between momentary pleasure and long-term well-being, a dynamic familiar to many navigating modern dating landscapes, especially for those within the LGBTQ+ community. Her experience also underscores the broader societal reactions that accompany women's candid discussions about sexuality. The viral video, while a platform for self-expression, also became a lens through which strangers felt entitled to pass judgment, critique her morality, and dictate her standards. It's a reflection of how public visibility can amplify personal choices, turning private decisions into topics for public debate. Yet, through it all, she maintained her authenticity, using her platform to articulate her perspective and encourage dialogue about consent, agency, and self-respect. Ultimately, her update was a testament to personal growth and self-determination. She had navigated a year of unexpected attention, self-discovery, and complex interactions with both men and women, all while maintaining her sense of identity and priorities. She chose to share her experiences not to justify her choices, but to provide insight into the realities of dating, the challenges of navigating public scrutiny, and the importance of respecting one's own boundaries. Through humor, honesty, and vulnerability, she conveyed that while relationships and sexual exploration can be complicated, personal integrity and self-awareness remain paramount. In reflecting on her journey, it's clear that the impact of her original viral video extended far beyond social media metrics. It became a narrative about autonomy, exploration, and the negotiation of personal desires in a world eager to comment and critique. Her story resonates because it blends relatability with the extraordinary, capturing both the chaos and the growth that can come from living openly and honestly in the public eye. As she continues her journey, she embodies the balance of fun, reflection, and responsibility, showing that it's possible to explore, make mistakes, and learn, all while prioritizing one's own well-being and long-term goals. She explained that many people had criticized her heavily for turning down the guy who asked her to be his girlfriend, with some men insisting she should have said yes, arguing that it was unreasonable to reject someone who had seemingly shown interest. These critics claimed that buying her food, or so they assumed, was enough of a gesture to merit acceptance of his romantic proposal. However, she clarified the situation, emphasizing that the narrative others had imagined wasn't accurate. He had not bought her anything. In fact, he had asked her from the passenger seat if she would be his girlfriend after she had already ordered and paid for her own meal. This small but crucial detail completely reframed the context of their interaction and highlighted the degree to which outside observers misunderstood the situation. The commentator discussing her update reacted dramatically, highlighting how absurd it was to expect her to say yes under those circumstances. He joked that she was repeatedly dealing with what he called dusty men who are emotionally immature, manipulative, or simply incompatible, and insisted that she needed someone different, someone who could truly appreciate and respect her worth. In his humorous, exaggerated way, he pleaded with her not to return to dating women simply because of one bad experience with a man, claiming that she had not even given him a fair chance to treat her right. She then continued her update, offering a candid recount of what happened after she refused his request for a committed relationship. Despite her firm no, she revealed that they still went back to her place and ended up being intimate. What initially seemed like a minor detail quickly turned into a major point of concern. During that encounter, he intentionally finished inside her without protection. Shockingly, he openly admitted that he had done it on purpose, an action that further highlighted his lack of respect for her autonomy and boundaries. The commentator could hardly believe that she allowed this to happen with someone who had not offered any kind of commitment or serious consideration of her feelings. He teased her about her so-called down bad standards, playfully pointing out that her choices in partners, whether men or women, seemed to consistently involve people who were unreliable or problematic. Beyond the humor, the underlying message was clear. She had repeatedly found herself in situations where her partners were not valuing her, emotionally or otherwise. The commentator's remarks highlighted the pattern, showing that her experiences were not isolated incidents but part of a broader trend in her dating life, one in which she was sometimes drawn to complicated or immature individuals. While the tone was light-hearted, the critique was pointed. Her dating choices had placed her in vulnerable situations, and it was time to reflect on what she truly deserved. Ultimately, she concluded that this particular incident was the final push she needed to step back from dating men, at least for the time being. The experience was a harsh but instructive reminder of the importance of setting clear boundaries and prioritizing self-respect over fleeting pleasure or convenience. By sharing the story in such a candid and unfiltered manner, she highlighted the complexities of modern dating, the challenges of navigating intimacy and consent, and the pressures women face from societal expectations and online commentary. The story also illustrated the power of personal agency. Despite the intense and complicated dynamics involved, she chose herself, reaffirmed her autonomy, and set a clear line in the sand. This decision marked a turning point in her journey, one that emphasized self-care, awareness, and the ongoing effort to cultivate relationships that are respectful, reciprocal, and meaningful. Through this update, she was not only recounting an episode from her past but also sending a broader message to others in similar situations. It is possible, and necessary, to recognize patterns, enforce boundaries, and prioritize personal well-being over the pressure to conform to societal expectations or the whims of partners who fail to value you. For her, stepping away from dating men temporarily was not a retreat but a conscious choice to protect her future, maintain her dignity, and focus on finding relationships that would genuinely enhance her life rather than complicate it. After he admitted that he had done it on purpose, he sat at the edge of my bed and broke down crying, apologizing over and over and claiming he didn't know what came over him, saying he only reacted that way because I told him I didn't want to be his girlfriend. The commentator couldn't believe the situation, pointing out how wild it was that I said no, still slept with him, and then let him finish inside me. As for me, I was caught in the moment, still in that hazy afterglow, anxious but not angry, mostly terrified at the thought of getting pregnant, something I don't want anytime soon and especially not with someone like him. Part of me could see how easily I might have ended up as his second baby mama, considering he already had a child and was clearly fertile, but another part envisioned the future I actually want, a successful music career untouched by a situation I'm not in love with. The commentator teased that this meant I wasn't really gay, insisting he still had a chance. But even beyond that, the situation kept getting messier. After crying on my bed, after the parking lot girlfriend request, and after purposefully finishing in me, he continued acting strange. The next morning, he even left his phone at my place. When we FaceTimed, him on his laptop and me on my phone, he suddenly became possessive, interrogating me about whether I was talking to other people and insisting I better not have anything close to what we have. I told him the truth. For health reasons, I wasn't sleeping with anyone else since he and I were already involved. Meanwhile, the commentator kept emphasizing the obvious, that this man was finishing inside me without protection and acting possessive, showing just how chaotic the entire situation had become. She told him plainly that while she wasn't sleeping with anyone else, she was still single and free to go on dates or live her life without reporting anything to him, and that it simply wasn't his business. The moment she said that, he hit a button on his laptop and hung up on her. She explained that he had been acting emotionally volatile and overly dramatic since the first day they met, and the commentator pointed out that she kept entertaining dysfunction even though she recognized the signs immediately, joking that she attracts the same problems whether she's dating men or women. Meanwhile, the guy kept insisting they were destined to be together, claiming God told him they would build a life side by side, while she took none of it seriously and mostly laughed off his mood swings and tantrums. But after the non-stop drama within a single 24-hour period, she finally reached her breaking point. Once she's done, she explained, she's truly done. No feelings, no attachment, no going back. He continued calling and texting all night, sending long paragraphs after the hang-up, but she simply went to sleep. By the next morning, he messaged again saying he was coming to get his phone, which he had left at her place, and even asked her to charge it for him in a message sent around 2 a.m., one she barely noticed in her half-sleep. She didn't end up charging it, but she would have if she had seen the request clearly. When he finally showed up to retrieve his phone, she mentioned that he didn't even have a car. The commentator jumped on that detail immediately, pointing out how wild it was that she was sleeping with a man who had no transportation and wasn't using protection, teasing her for repeatedly choosing partners who brought chaos into her life. He told her she wasn't dealing with a male issue or a female issue, she simply kept attracting dysfunction, despite being beautiful and deserving better. He joked that she needed a church mother to pray over her life because every dating story she told somehow involved another down bad situation. She said she was completely done with him after he hung up on her, so when he came by to pick up his phone, which had no service, leaving him stranded, she had her mom bring it out to him on the porch because she didn't even want to face him. The commentator jumped in, teasing her for living with her mother and still sleeping with men there, questioning how she ended up involved with someone who not only lacked a car but also had substance issues and intentionally finished inside her out of spite. He pointed out how chaotic the entire situation was. She slept with him without protection, he had never taken her on a proper date, and their first argument happened the same day they met. She explained that he was pushing for a relationship immediately, claiming God told him they were meant to be together, and he constantly blew up her phone if she didn't reply fast enough. All of this, combined with the love bombing and emotional instability, made her realize she needed to walk away. Though he was admittedly good in bed and hard to detach from, she thanked herself for having the strength to leave before things spiraled even further. The commentator insisted she must be bisexual, teasing that she clearly struggled to let go. and joked that he would gladly love-bomb her too, swearing that if she ever needed anything, he'd show up instantly. She admitted that she could have grown attached to him, especially since their connection was so intense and the chemistry was undeniable. But she recognized that pursuing anything further would likely have led her down a toxic baby mama path, something she wasn't willing to sacrifice her freedom, career, or future for, no matter how good it felt in the moment. He was charming, manipulative, and love-bombing her to create an emotional attachment, but he rushed things, popping the girlfriend question within a month and pressuring her for commitment before she could even get fully comfortable. She reflected that if he had waited a few months, she might have fallen deeper, integrated him into her daily life, and potentially fought to make it work. Instead, she chose herself, prioritizing her independence and personal growth. After all of that, she decided to take a break from dating, using the time to focus on herself and work through the frustration she had built up. She explained that ultimately, she wanted a healthy relationship with a black, confident, and fun partner, someone who could be both a best friend and a romantic partner, and she was ready to wait for the right person rather than rush into something potentially destructive. She explained that she needed to continue working on herself in order to attract the kind of partner she truly wanted, someone who could match her energy, her standards, and her vision for a meaningful relationship. Specifically, she described her ideal partner as a confident, beautiful black woman with curves, charisma, personality, and the ability to form a real, authentic connection. It wasn't just about physical attraction, it was about compatibility, mutual respect, and shared values. She acknowledged that she still had room to grow, both emotionally and personally, and that in order to reach the place where she could maintain a healthy and fulfilling relationship, she needed to prioritize herself first. This meant focusing on her craft, investing in her career, and letting the right person come into her life naturally, rather than chasing someone out of loneliness, impulse, or external pressure. She recognized that true connection couldn't be forced, and she was committed to creating the space for that kind of relationship to develop organically. However, even after stepping back from dating, she found herself in another complicated situation with a man who continued pressuring her, despite her being clear about her boundaries. She had told him she didn't want to sleep with him, yet he persisted, ignoring her initial refusal and trying to convince her otherwise. Eventually, she caved, but the experience quickly revealed a mismatch in effort and respect. Although things began on what seemed like a consensual and mutual note, he refused to reciprocate her needs or acknowledge her contributions. When she asked for some consideration in return, he brushed her off, claiming he doesn't really do that and even going so far as to dismiss the effort she put in by saying he had never asked for it in the first place. The situation left her feeling frustrated and disappointed, highlighting how easy it was to be left unsatisfied, not only by men but in some cases by women as well. That moment became a turning point for her. It reinforced a decision to take a deliberate break from dating entirely, realizing that it was far more empowering to invest her energy in herself than to continue engaging with people who failed to value or reciprocate what she offered. After reflecting on her experiences, she felt confident stepping away from these dynamics, embracing her independence, and focusing on personal growth, self-care, and clarity about the standards she wanted in any future partner. The break was not a retreat but a conscious choice to cultivate self-respect, preserve her emotional well-being, and prepare herself for relationships that would truly be fulfilling and reciprocal.